How to Design a Great Training Program, Part 2. And we're elaborating on the second point we made in here, and that is to how to get them doing, using it. And here's an example. When I started construction, I had a degree from Georgia Tech in building construction, and I got involved with a guy in Atlanta, Georgia to build houses. Joel Blackford, Blackford Associates, Atlanta, Georgia, 1971. And I had my Bachelor of Science in building construction. And that meant that I had a degree, I'd passed the minimum requirements at good old Georgia Tech, and I couldn't build anything beyond a doghouse with that information. I'm not sure I could have built a doghouse, but I did have the technical knowledge. And like all college degrees, it was good enough to serve as a certificate to get me in the door to get the real job. And after about 3 months of observing at lunch with Joel, he sat down and he wadded up his paper sack that after he'd had lunch, he kind of unwrinkled everything, got out his pen, and he said, okay, you're going to be involved in, you're going to take over now from breaking ground all the way to getting the sheetrock in. So this is building houses. And he's going to show me how to build houses. And he went through all the steps, and he wrote all this on here, which is an excellent way of doing it, by the way. I don't know why I didn't save that. But he went in there and he went through the steps. And first of all, you get it staked out, and you get the plans, and then boom, 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 you get where you're going to dig your footings, and then you call this guy. And he went all the way down through all the steps. Now, once it was over, once I had gotten going on that, and he had given me the outline, then I interpreted it took me a few months, but then I, in essence, I turned the paper sack, into huge boards with, detailed lines. And I had stages all the way down. Everything, all the sub-steps of everything he put in here and the little extra reminders. I made all those in there, and then we always had about 25 houses going at a time, but I was starting new ones. So these are the ones I was taking over. So every time there was a new house, I'd put like lot, 35C. And that's like what you go in construction, like lot 7A. They don't have their street addresses yet. And so then I would keep up with a progress chart, and I had my own elaborate flow chart that I made from that. But that was me he gave me one step. It was probably too many, it was a lot of steps, but at that point I could do it. I've been around 3 months. He gave me, not the whole house, because that would have been overwhelming, but he cut it in two. And he said, here, this. You're responsible for that. Now, it was up to me to get myself organized. And as a result of not wanting, me discovering that he was a manic depressive personality, he would go absolutely ape anytime anything wasn't exactly perfect. Then I, to protect myself, got this elaborate flow chart put together so I could see the nuclear warhead explode as few times as possible in the subdivision when somehow we had committed some kind of indiscretion. And so this was mine, but this is why I started with him. Now, when you teach anybody anything, this might be what you teach. And they may take it and do great things with it, far beyond what you imagine. I'm just using it as an example, not that this was that great. But they're never going to do it unless you let them and give them the opportunity to take charge and kind of set the stage where they can go use it. That was probably one of the greatest things he did in teaching me how to build houses. I've used that diagram, flow charts, method of training people ever since. So that's one way, one example of how You can get people to start using the information that you're giving them. The other one is, when I started the business, I had a lot of paperwork. When I went into financial services, lots of paperwork and forms. Do you have any of that in your business? Well, what you do is, originally, you sit down and you got this complicated form with all this stuff in here and here. And now you're holding the pen. You've got the pen. And then you're writing this in here and you're writing this in and say, go over here. Pay attention now. This goes over here, this goes over here, this goes over here, this goes over here. All right, we got another form over here. And you go through, you fill it out, and get the pen, and you go in through all of this stuff and explaining in detail. And all it is, they'll have some kind of description for it. Think of an IRS form. They have the descriptions on there. All you got to do is fill it in. It seems so simple. But of course, they would mess it up like you can't believe. And I said, why can't they learn it? So I learned a principle from this. Here's the principle. Whoever holds the pen learns. The problem was, as I would go through these forms, I would hold the pen. I would write it down because I want to save time. Let's move fast. Quick. Well, quick, but then you have to repeat it over and over and over again. So I finally learned, eventually I learned things. Get them to hold the pen, get them to fill it out, then they learn. You know what that's like? Here's what it's like. If you go into a new town, and they pick you up, or for some reason they're driving the car. Maybe you go in there together and they drive the car. You don't drive. You're a passenger. They drive. And you drive all over that town and you go to where your destination is. Let's just say next time you go back to that town and you go back by yourself and you drive. You know what happens? You know what you're going to discover? You're lost. You can't remember how to get there. There's something about it. See, if you had your friend there who drove the first time, he'd remember. He was driving. He was paying attention. You were just along for the ride. I've been into Washington, D.C. about 40 times. I never drive. Somebody always picks me up. I still don't know how that town is laid out. But take me to Los Angeles. For some reason, when I go to L.A., I always get rental cars. I know L.A. inside and out, and it's far more, it's equally as complex, let's say. It's because I drive in Los Angeles. I've got to pay attention. I'm the one that's got to say, that's the street. Turn there. And I'm the one that experiences turning the car there. And all that imagery gets imprinted in my mind as I turn around the corner. Whoever holds the pen learns, and whoever drives the car learns. Those are two good ideas that gives you the indication of ways you can get people involved in using your information step by step as you teach them. Now, that's 2 of about 6 points we've got on training, and I'm going to go into point 3 in the next one.